This is Charleston's retirement coach, Brandon Bowen.
So if you were like so many people and the idea of, well, a lot of people are very excited about retirement, like, woohoo, let's go. But a lot of people, it almost feels like the more successful you were, the more your career focused type that maybe identified you in a lot of ways, the more stressful the idea of retirement is. Case in point, the man who needs no introduction, which is, I say, because that's what his new TV show is on Netflix, David Letterman. I mean, you say the name, synonymous with the career that he had. It was over a decade ago that he retired as host from The Late Show. And at that time, back in 2015, he was on CBS Sunday Morning talking about how the transition into retirement, it did not come as easily to him at first. This is David Letterman.
I'm naked and afraid. It's so cliche, but I'll share it with you anyway. Any enormous uprooting change in my life has petrified me, really petrified me. But once I've come through the other side, the reward has been unimaginable.
Brandon, you obviously are helping folks retire every single day. So what is it that you see about preparing for retirement that creates anxiousness for so many people?
Well, the idea of like, okay, you've been working and you know that if you physically go to your job, you had every 2 weeks or every month, you had a paycheck in your bank. So we knew we had income coming in. Then you did it for so long. Well, that was kind of who you were, right? So your identity, a lot of times you are the late night talk show host, or you are the CEO of this company, or you're the manager over here, right? So, or you're a teacher or a nurse. And, so your identity a lot of times was in that, that's what you did.
Yeah.
But then, and so all the while you're saving for retirement, right? You're putting money into your 401k, 403b, all those things. And it's going up and down with these market crashes. You see it, but so it doesn't feel very stable,
right?
A lot of times. And so then the idea of like, okay, you mean to tell me I'm walking away from that steady income stream and what I used to do every day, 5 days a week, 40 hours, right? And now this thing that's so elusive and it's hard to understand it and what causes all this fluctuation. Now that my portfolio is now my employer, if you will, because it now needs to pay me. And I've got my spouse here counting on me. I've got kids, I've got grandkids. So all this pressure and you're like, oh my gosh, this is really, really scary. Okay. And so, it can be that emotional shock of the transition there. And so as you're coming up on this date, the one thing that I know from my 16 years of doing this here is there is a clear difference when someone has a plan, right?
Okay.
Versus no plan.
Okay.
The people that come into the office that retired from, say, up in the Northeast or Ohio or whatever, and retired with no plan, and they moved to Charleston, and then they finally came in. I'm like, gosh, you guys, man, I can't believe you retired with no plan, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so we quickly got one in place. But if you're still working right now and you're kind of like, hey, okay, I can see my exit. I can see 62 or I can see 65. It's coming up really fast. And I'm gripped with fear here. And so you need a plan, right? You need a plan. Pick up the phone right now. Let me give you my number. So if that's you and you know that you don't have a plan and it's time, you've been listening to the show, call 843-890-2400. I want to get you going, get you started on your own customized retirement game plan. But it's that fear of not having enough money, right? Of a market crash, of running out of money. I hear it every single day, every single week. Right. So let me tell you a client of mine who was a mid-level manager at Bowen. All right. Okay. Let's see. He was 58. She was 56. And they're in Mount Pleasant here. Mm-hmm. And so he was an engineer. He was an engineer there, then got into management. And if there are any engineers listening right now, they will be nodding their head in agreement, as you are not going to move 1 inch unless you understand the full plan, right? The ins and outs, every detail.
Yep.
I love my engineer clients. But so this client, we met 4 times before they became a client.
Oh, wow.
Right. So
made you work for it.
Yes. Yeah. Which was great. He's like, well, Brandon, what about, let's go back to this. And I was like, okay. So anyway, so he came in, he's like, I want to retire next year at 58. And I was like, woo. I was like, okay, we got some strategies we got to work at, because 62, Social Security is not available till 62 at the earliest.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He still had a child in college and in high school. Okay. So he's kind of getting that all through.
Wow.
Still finishing all that up, but he's young. And I was like, all right, well, let's see what we got to work with. And he had 1.5 million saved up.
Nice.
So that was great.
Yep.
That was in his 401k. And he had 2 Bowen pensions to make a decision on.
Wow. Okay.
So he had kind of like an old school Bowen pension. And then, another one, a smaller one there. So we had tons of decisions to make.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So he had all these puzzle pieces, and I had to say, okay, let's start here. We got to start with your income.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had to start thinking of buckets. And if you will, like the first bucket, let's put the words safety and income on that bucket. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the only monies or investments or tools or strategies that go into that bucket are things that are built for safety and income. And then we've got another bucket that we're going to write on the side of it that says growth and liquidity. Right.
Okay.
So that bucket, we're going to dump into there stocks, ETFs, things that are built for growth and full liquidity. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no perfect investment that does all of that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we've just got to have different buckets that we access,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so that's what we did for them. So we started filling up his income bucket. And like I said, he's only 58. So for the next 4 years, we had a little bit heavier income coming out.
Okay.
Then we flip on Social Security for them. And then we're able to add a little bit, turn off some of those income streams.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we had a third bucket, actually, Roth IRA. We started doing Roth conversions. So he loved seeing that we had a strategy going for all of this stuff, right? For all of his money. And that's really what I want to bring to you and kind of go back to is that game plan. Anytime you have a game plan set up, I believe that, like in sports, for example, say you've got a great team. You've been preparing for this Super Bowl to play your rival, right? So you've got a game plan set up there. And so then you go into the game and we know it's going to go back and forth. We're going to get hit, right? Things are going to not go our way, but we've got a game plan for if things don't go our way for a bit, right?
Yeah.
So you have a little bit of confidence. You're not going to get down or get sidetracked easily if something doesn't go your way. So in business, same way. In life, we've got to have a game plan. Right. And so that's what we did for him. And so what I'm glad to report is now his child finished college. In fact, we had to pay for a wedding. Right. The other child is now out of high school in college.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's been all these things that have happened that we, didn't know initially, a wedding, but what they've been able to sleep 8 hours a night, knowing that they've got $12,000 a month coming in income.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They just got to wake up. So he's been taking care of himself. He exercises a lot. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got 12K coming in. Our portfolios have beat our benchmarks with less volatility. Mm-hmm. Now that's great. Now I will admit there'll probably be a year where we don't beat our benchmark. Okay. We're trying our best. Okay. But we've got a strategy there. Okay. We've got a strategy to beat our benchmark with less volatility. And with the Roth conversion, so he just knows that we've got that plan. He loves coming in for a review, and we say, okay, let's take a look at how are we doing? What's the score? Yeah. Are we winning? Right? Yeah. And that is a game plan for retirement. So you listening, if you would sit there and go, if you're honest, I have no game plan. I've just been winging it here. Maybe you're already retired. Mm-hmm. And luckily, the markets have been going up. And yes, there's been some scary moments here and there. But you have got to get a game plan in there. Each year, are there tax moves that you should be doing, right? So what I want you to do is pick up your phone right now. I want you to either call or text my office. You can text the word game plan. And Tanya is standing by right now. She would love to talk to you or reply back on a text and get you set up to have a conversation with me. 843-890-2400. Again, that's 843-890-2400. 2400. You can call or text the word game plan. If you've saved $500,000 or more, you qualify, you deserve this game plan for your retirement. 843-890-2400.
Thanks for listening to Charleston's Retirement Coach Podcast with Brandon Bowen. To learn more, visit bowenwealth.com and join Brandon for his radio show, Charleston's Retirement Coach, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on 94.3 WSC.
Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if J. Brandon Bowen is licensed in your state, please call 843-203-2030. J. Brandon Bowen is an investment advisor representative of Bowen Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. J. Brandon Bowen is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Bowen Wealth, LLC, insurance licensed in South Carolina. Market Guard is a registered investment advisor with the SEC and provides model portfolios only to Impact Partnership Wealth. Market Guard makes no implied warranties or representations and is not liable for any data presented.